2025 could mark a turning point in world politics. But why now? For decades, the global landscape seemed relatively stable, with established rules, clear lines of influence that guided international relations. Now, as we stand here in late 2025, the very foundations of that system are perceptibly shifting beneath our feet. This isn't a sudden, cataclysmic event, but rather a steady, undeniable transformation, reaching a critical juncture. A new global order is forming, one that is far more complex and less predictable than the one it is replacing, and it could change everything from security to the economy. This change, while seemingly distant and abstract, has the profound potential to shape our collective safety, our personal finances, and the very fabric of our daily lives. Understanding this transition is not merely an academic exercise for political scientists or diplomats. It is a necessity for every informed citizen. The decisions being made in capitals Washington, Beijing, Brussels, New Delhi will ripple outwards, affecting everything from the price of gasoline to the security of our digital information. The alliances that once defined global security are being reevaluated, and new partnerships are emerging. To understand where we are going, we must first be clear about where we have been. For roughly 3 decades following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the world existed in what many analysts called a unipolar moment. This was the old order. In this system, the United States stood as the world's sole superpower, possessing unparalleled military influence, economic influence, cultural influence. After the Cold War concluded, no nation or bloc could realistically challenge American dominance. This reality shaped international politics, creating a period of relative predictability where major global choices were often guided by Washington's leadership. The American-led order rested on alliances and institutions, most notably NATO for security and close cooperation with the European Union on economics and diplomacy. Organizations like the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Trade Organization were sustained by this Western consensus. This framework fostered globalization, but concentrated power in a small group of Western nations, setting the stage for future challenges. That old order, so clearly defined by American preeminence, is now decisively shifting. The unipolar moment has given way to a far more complicated arrangement. Today, we see not one or two centers of power, but several. This is the essence of the change we are witnessing in 2025. We call this new structure multipolarity. In simple terms, many countries or blocs now have enough military clout, economic clout, diplomatic clout to pursue their interests and influence events regionally or globally. International relations are becoming a complex web of competing powers and cooperating powers. The United States remains immensely powerful, but it is no longer the only major player on the stage. One of the most concrete examples of this global power shift can be seen in Europe's changing approach to its own security. For over 70 years, much of Europe relied on the United States through NATO. While nations kept their own armies, the ultimate security guarantee came from Washington. That arrangement is now being fundamentally re-evaluated. Spurred by instability on the eastern flank and diverging priorities, Europe is experiencing a security awakening. Countries from Germany to Poland are increasing defense budgets, a move once politically difficult. Germany, Poland, new spending funds real capabilities, fighter jets, air defense systems, and larger, readier forces. China has become explicit about its ambitions and capabilities. Parades in Beijing in 2025 were choreographed displays of power, showcasing advanced weaponry, from hypersonic missiles to aircraft carriers. China signals it can defend interests beyond its borders, especially in the Indo-Pacific. Its economic diplomacy, through Belt and Road, built a network of interdependencies across Asia, Africa, and beyond. These ties shape trade patterns, set technical standards, and build support in forums like the United Nations. It is not only China. Other nations and blocs are more active and independent. Debates in countries like France reflect this shift. Middle Eastern middle powers diversify, engaging Washington, Beijing, and Moscow simultaneously. BRICS expansion builds alternative institutions alongside the old ones, making the system more interconnected and more fragmented. Each new center of influence adds complexity to the power equation. It's easy to see this as abstract, but it will be felt in everyday life. So why does this matter to you? First, your money and the economy. As nations prioritize security, defense spending is likely to rise. Those funds must come from somewhere else. It could mean higher taxes or cuts to education and infrastructure, even healthcare. Second, elections will focus more on foreign policy. Positions on alliances, trade deals, and defense commitments directly affect prosperity and security. The debate: strengthen old alliances, forge new ones, or turn inward. Leaders you elect will determine your country's place in this multipolar order. Here are three possible futures. 1. A stronger, more unified European defense identity. 2. A less US-centric world where power is more evenly distributed, requiring broader consensus among the United States, China, Europe, and BRICS nations. 3. New trade and security blocs create a more fragmented, region-driven world. Watch NATO communiques for US-Europe burden-sharing shifts. Track EU defense policy and steps toward joint capabilities. Monitor China's statements and military activity in the Indo-Pacific. In short, the post-Cold War order led by the US and its allies is over, and many centers of power now shape global events. These shifts matter for our defense budgets, our elections, and our economies. If you want to understand how world politics is reshaping your future, subscribe for more short explainers. Subscribe for more short explainers. It's about a fundamental restructuring of influence, economics, and military might on a global scale. We will break down the key elements of this shift with clear examples and straightforward language. From Europe's rearmament to China's strategy and the assertiveness of regional powers, each piece builds the bigger picture. By the end, you will have a clear framework for understanding the new world that is emerging.